Welcome back to Coco's Book Mag. I am Courtney, and today we're going to be going over my May wrap-up. In the month of May, I read 16 books. Out of those 16 books, I did have one DNF. I listened to 15 audiobooks, and I read one ebook. I did have one physical read, but I only read about half of it throughout the month. About half the month I was sick, so I didn't really get a lot of reading done, but I was able to listen to quite a bit, so that's at least great. My May TBR, I did not get to some of the books that I wanted to in this month, but I did get through the majority of what I had on my May TBR. To start off with, it is currently Storming, so if you hear thunder and all that, that's where that's coming from. Beginning of the month, first book we read was the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This one is kind of a mystery thriller horror. I didn't really like it. It was okay. There's definitely certain spots in here that wasn't, my taste per se. I know this sets place in later years. I think it's like either early 2000s or like the late 90s. It's just the way that some of the characters are, I just really didn't like. The way that the main character just kind of gets put a label on her saying, oh, you have a mental illness. Like, that's pretty much your problem. Like, here, let me shove a bunch of pills down your throat is what the husband pretty much entailed, and it just kind of rubbed me wrong because I do have mental illnesses, and being told, here, take pills, it'll make you better, kind of makes me mad because it really doesn't. It just kind of masks everything, at least for me it does. So that kind of was one aspect I really didn't like about the book, and I gave it a 3-star. Like, it was a good story. It could have been a little bit better written. Yeah, so it's my first one. Next up, Alright, so my lovely camera decided it needed to die. So we are on the phone now. Next up, I read Infinity Reaper by Adam Silvera. This is the second book in the Infinity Sun series, and I absolutely loved Infinity Sun. It was one of my favorite reads either last year or the year before that. This one, I hate Brighton. I do not like him. I do love his brother. He's amazing, and I cannot get over how selfish Brighton is, and everything needs to be him. He needs to be in the spotlight. His brother can pretty much go screw himself. But I did end up giving this a 4-star because I did overall really, really, really like the story, but I just could do without Brighton and all of his attitudes and everything. I did not like the romance in here. I felt like it was pushed. But I did love the story. Overall, I do love the phoenixes and everything about it. So this one was a 4-star. I did not get a star off because of Brighton, but other than that, it would have been a 5-star read. And I did also read this one for the Final Book Support Group, hosted over by Steph Loves. This one, and I did get through Morningstar as well during that 2-week readathon that she hosted. This one I did give a 4-star. This one is Morningstar by Pierce Brown. This is the third book in the Red Rising series. I loved the first book. I did not really like the second book. But this one I did actually really like. I did like the ending. I do love Darrow. I do love Mustang. I'm not really going to go into a lot of what this one is because it is a third book and I'd be giving away a lot. But there are factions, colored people like red, gold, I think silver. But it is based in space. Daryl is from Mars. Go ahead and read Red Rising first, and then go into this one. But I did give this one a 4-star. I did really, really, really like it. The second one I could have dealt without, but this one was pretty good. Next up, I read Final Girls by Riley Sager. I think this is my second Riley Sager, my second or my third. I can't remember. I'm really, really, really liking his books so far. This one I gave a 4 stars. I really like this one. I liked the twist. I kind of saw the twist coming about halfway through the book, but I wasn't quite sure, and then once we got through, I kind of put all the puzzle pieces together, and I kind of felt more shocked that I was actually right about who the killer was in the end. It was kind of... I kind of liked the twist on the killer aspect, because you really don't see a lot of what Riley did in this one. But this one, I really liked. I gave it 4 stars. Next up, we read Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I did end up liking this one as well. I did give it a 4 stars. Ooh, yeah. The killer in this one, I actually, to be honest, did not even guess until the very end when it was revealed, and I was kind of shocked. Like, I could see it coming. If I actually went back and reread through all of this, I could definitely see, why, like, the lead up to it. I did love that haunted mansion, ghostly aspects of it that end up not being ghostly in a way. I thought that was kind of cool. I think this one is probably my favorite one of Riley's so far. At least in the top, like, 2 or 3. Next up, we read Daisies for Innocence by Bailey Cattrall. This is the first book in the Enchanted Garden mystery series. It was adorable. I actually really liked it. I liked that this one was not more of a cutesy one, but it was still pretty cute. It definitely had a little bit more of an adult. I did like the romance in this one, even though it wasn't, like, too romancy. I did like, in the end, they do get together in a way. I loved the Enchanted Garden and all of that. If you don't know, I do like witchy things and enchanted magic and all that. And I do love that we kind of go through the plants and all that in the series. I've listened to 2 of them so far. And I do like the essential oil aspect because I do use essential oils, and I felt like I kind of related to this book in a lot of ways, except for, like, the murder part, but it was kind of cool, and I kind of liked that she, even though her ex-husband is kind of a dick, she didn't really let that get her down in any way. But it was, definitely check that one out. I gave that one a 4 star. Next up, we read The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. I gave this one a 3 star. I kind of liked it. I definitely liked the, representation in here. I did like the representation with her Asperger's and all that. And I kind of like that she was kind of made a business deal, like, out of their romance, and in the end, she, the cats are going crazy, and in the end, she's like, oh, you know, I kind of like this, it could have been a little bit better, but I did like the representation. I don't know a whole lot about Asperger's because I don't know anybody personally that has it. So I just think I would have liked it a lot more, or either didn't like it. Depending, I don't know. I did give it a 3-star. It was kind of cute. I did kind of like the slow burn-ish up into it. To get to the actual, like, romance part. And then next up, we read The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the second book in the Poppy War series. I loved the Poppy War. I absolutely adored it. I just loved everything about the Poppy War. This one, I gave a 4-star. I still liked it. I didn't like certain spots in it. I think that Rin could have grown up a little bit more in this one. Instead, she's kind of like, yeah, I'm the leader of this group, but I do whatever you want type of situation. And in every situation, she's kind of like, oh, I'm a prisoner now. Cool. And she just kind of couldn't figure out either her powers, what she wanted to do, and it just kind of felt like she gave up after the first book, in a way. I still loved it. I love that we got to see some of the characters from the first book and when she was in the academy and how they played in. There were certain spots where I was shocked and I cried when some of the characters had died that we followed throughout this book. I did give it a 4-star. I still really liked it. I'm excited to go into the third book. I do really like this series and am planning on continuing with it. Next up, we read The Haunting of Ashbourne House by Darcy Coates. This book was the book troop pick for this month, hosted over by Gabby at Gabby Reads. I really enjoyed it. I like books that have paranormal in them. I do believe in ghosts. I've seen them. I've experienced that. So yes, I do believe in it. I like reading books, especially haunted books that actually end up being paranormal activity. And this one actually did a really good job, I thought, in the end, and I was not expecting the ending to be the way that it was. I absolutely enjoyed every minute of listening to this one. It was a great time for me. I did give it a 4-star because it was a little bit slow in some spots, and I think it could have been a little bit more paranormal than it was, but it still did a really good job. Yeah, that one was a 4-star. Next up, we had The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I think I got 35-40% in. I absolutely hated it. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't do it. I was kind of enjoying some of the side characters that were in the support group. The main character that we're following, at least the first half of it that I listened to, I couldn't do it. I did not like how, not even really stupid, she was just very over the top. Everything was to the T9 yards. She went full on, head on, I'm fucking crazy type. And it's I understand kind of where she's coming from, because she did experience this when she was younger, but I don't even think it really even said how old these people are, but they're definitely over the age of 30. I just can't, it just doesn't seem realistic to me. This book felt more of a fever dream. of anything, and I actually listened to it like right after I was sick, so I kind of thought that, I'm like, this book can't be right. I did go back and listen to part of it. I'm like, yeah, I just can't do it. Like, she has no thought process. She does not think anything through. And I just couldn't do that. She couldn't just take a second just to be like, oh, yeah, no, maybe shooting my gun at these people probably isn't a good idea, you know? Like, I don't know, shooting my gun at cops. It was just... I absolutely hated it, and I will probably never pick it back up again. I probably won't pick up another Grady Hendrix book up after that one. Like I said, I enjoyed the Southern book, but I also didn't at the same time. Like, it was just, I don't think Grady is really for me. I did want to read The Best Friend's Exorcism, which I don't know, I might, but I just feel like his writing is just not for me at all. Next up, we read Nightshade Forewarning. This is the second book in the Enchanted Garden mystery by Bailey Cottrell. I enjoyed this one, I think, a little bit more than the first one, actually. I liked the belladonna, how that came into play in here, and I liked who the killer was. And we met the killer in the first book. Like, we knew of her, like, going through this. And, like, hearing her story through the first book and then going a little bit more into detail within the second one. And then finding out that they did it. I thought it was an interesting one. I did really, really like this one. I did like how we're getting more of the Enchanted Garden and going into all of that into this one. I gave Nightshade Forewarning a 4-star. I did really enjoy it. Next up, we read Deep Blue by Jennifer Donnelly. This one is a mermaid book. I believe it's YA. I believe so. I absolutely loved, I think it was Stepsister, her retelling of Cinderella with the stepsister instead of Cinderella. It was from the stepsister's perspective, and I absolutely loved it. This one, I did like it. I didn't really get into, like, the first half, and then the second half it kind of picked up, and I kind of enjoyed the last half of the book. I will probably read the other 2 books because they are small, and it was a fairly quick audiobook. As a middle grade YA kind of boundary on it, I did enjoy it. I did give it a 3-star. It's definitely not my favorite from Jennifer. I loved Stepsister, and there are a couple others that I do want to read from her. So I'm gonna continue with this series, and hopefully I like the other ones. If not, then they just weren't meant to be. Next up, I read This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mahaffey. I love this book. I enjoyed every single minute of it. Oh, we got character art. I didn't even know that was in there. This is the Illumicrate edition, I believe. It's completely gorgeous. I love the end pages. I don't know how... They're just... Like, the sprayed edges are just gorgeous. The whole book is just absolutely gorgeous on this one. And I believe it is signed. Yep, it is the Illumicrate edition. It's just gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. I was a little confused at first because in the beginning she's a servant. We're following this girl called Elise. And then we also have the crown prince of the kingdom, and then we end up finding out that there is a long lost princess of this kingdom, and there's a couple people there that want to find her and help her get back her kingdom and everything, and then we find out who it is at first. we have no idea what's going on for like the first third of the book, like quarter of the book, and then we figure out who the long lost princess is, and then it kind of escalates from there. I did not like the cliffhanger at the end because I don't like cliffhangers, especially when I don't have the second book. But I did really enjoy it. I'm kind of excited to see where the next book goes to. I did give this one a 4-star, and I'm really enjoying, and I can't wait until the second one comes out because I want to see where it ends up at. And the audiobook for it was really, really great too. And then next up we read Guild, which is the first book in the Plated Prisoners series by Raven Kennedy, and I read this one for Sahar's fantasy romance book club that she is doing. I loved it. I gave it a 5-star. I enjoyed every single minute of it. I enjoyed picking it up. And I'm very excited to read Glint this month. It was overall great. I absolutely loved Oren. There was a couple things that I really didn't like. And there was one death that got to me. I cried. I'm not gonna lie. I bawled my eyes out during that scene. I don't like Midas at all. I'm just gonna say that right now. The Queen is interesting to me, and I'm kind of excited to see where the second book leads to. But yeah, it was a 5 stars for me. I absolutely liked it. And then next up, I read The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. This was the book pick, the official book pick for the Late Night Cruise unofficial book club that we did. I couldn't really get through the first half of this book. Like, it just felt slow and sluggish. And then I finally picked the audiobook up because I'm like, I need to finish this. Please pick up at some point. And the last half of the book, I actually loved the last half. I just couldn't get through the first half of the book. And it was just kind of slow and sluggish, and you're like, where is this going? Like, what are we doing? And it just kind of like drops very subtle hints throughout the first, and then you literally just dive straight in the last half of the book. And I really absolutely enjoyed it, but I'd say the first half of the book, I'd give a 2-star. The last half of the book, a 4 or 5. Like, I think overall I rated it a 4-star. To be honest, I'd probably go lower to like a 3.5 on this one. It's not my favorite Simone book. I absolutely loved The Sundown Motel. It's my absolutely favorite book from her. I did like The Broken Girls, but this one, I don't know, like, I loved it, but I didn't. Like, it's definitely, like, at the bottom of Simone's books for me right now. But I still love her writing, and I love her paranormal activities that go on in her book and how she writes that and plays it. And then I listened to The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I just needed a quick audiobook to get me through that last 2 days of the month because I didn't want to start my June TBR quite yet. So this one is fairly short. And I listened to it in the 2 days at work, day and a half at work. I enjoyed it. The first part of it, I was a little confused about, but as we went through, I liked it a lot more. Noah, okay. I would say Noah's probably my favorite, but if you don't know about this book, I can't really tell you much about him. But there is kind of a paranormal, kind of ghostly aspect into this. There's magic in here. There's tarot readings. It was a good time. I gave it a 4 stars. Like, I actually kind of enjoyed it. I do want to read the second book, just to kind of see, like, where it goes to. I didn't... So there is a boy that was killed years ago in here, and if you read the book, then you know who it is. If you have not, read the book, find out who it is. But they introduced this other, you only get like one like half a chapter run, and then it kind of goes through, and then you're like, oh, that's how he played a story in this. Okay, now I get it. And then there was also a guest who ended up being the same person, but I didn't put two and two together until towards the end of the book when they're like, oh, hey, by the way, this is your killer. And you're like, oh, at least for me, I go into books blind. I don't look for those correlations until everything starts adding up. I don't like knowing who the killer is in the very first part. I do like that this one was more fantasy plus thriller in a way. I liked it. It was kind of an enjoyable audiobook for me, just a quick filler. I will definitely be continuing the series. I will let you know what I think on those ones as we read them. Yeah, that's about it for my May wrap-up. I did start The Broken Web by Lori M. Lee this month. I did not finish it. I think as of right now, I only have 100 pages left. I think my problem with literally taking pretty much the whole month of May to read this book is, one, I was sick and I didn't really feel like picking up a physical book. And two, it is the second book in the Forest of Souls. The Forest of Souls series. I think it's just a duology. I love this one. I absolutely adored, and this one, I think I gave it 5 stars. It was a quick read. It was fast. It was good. I liked it. So we're following a girl. Her name is Saoirse Ashwin. She's got a best friend. Her name is Sango. They are going through the military together. They started in the Prince's something, and then they go into the Queen's. Just kind of like military standings as you like progress through them. Kind of like starting with National Guard level and then going up through Army and through the ranks pretty much. And Saoirse learns that she's got powers. She's shaman born, and then something happens, and then they get sent into a different, I don't think it's kind of a different territory, but it's not. It's kind of like the middle ground area where she meets this guy called Ronan. Things happen, things end, and there's a battle in some sorts. In a way, she loses people, she kills, like, it was a great read. I liked it. The second book, we're following Saoirse and Sango in the aftermath of what happens in the first book. This book, she is kind of allied with the prince. The queen is trying to start wars with other countries. It's just kind of, it's one of those military books that's, you're not in the battle to begin with. It takes like the whole book to get to the battle, and you're like, I don't want to read 500 pages of travel and plans, like, and I think that's kind of why I don't like the second book as much, is because we're planning. There's not really any action, and when there is action, it's 2 pages. But I'm still enjoying it. There's one guy in here, he's called, so you have just like your regular humans pretty much, which is Saoirse. And then you have your shaman-born, like, I guess it's Sango. Sango's like your basic human, and Saoirse is your shaman-born. And then you have, his name is Theon, you get introduced to him in the first book. He's shadow blessed. He can move people if he can see, if he's been there and he knows what it looks like. He can take you there through shadows, pretty much. It's kind of like opening a portal. It's kind of interesting, and I want to get more of that into it. But we're learning how the Soulless, who we do get introduced into the first book, everything kind of connects more as we go throughout the second book, but it's slow. It doesn't get right to the point. We don't really get more of the story. Like, as it progresses, you get a piece of the information, and then we're at like a pause for like 30-40 pages, and then you might get a little bit more, it might go another 30-40 pages, and they're not long books. I think they're like maybe 300 pages, like 382 for this one, and the other one's about the same size. So it's just kind of like I don't want to sit here and continue to read them sitting in a castle in this land and moving to this land and type of situation, pretty much. So that's one that I started that I'm still currently reading. I also started, I have not finished A Strange Hymn yet, which is the second one in the Bargainers series. I am slowly reading that one. That one's more of my, at this point, my car read on my Kindle, when I'm sitting there waiting to pick kids up, and so just like waiting period. So I've been slowly going through that one. I'm at like 60% right now. And then I did start Vicious Promise by M. James. This one is the first book in the Promise trilogy. I don't think I think I'm 10% into it. It's starting out pretty strong. I haven't picked it up since I got sick, so I'm not too sure about that one. I'm kind of hoping that would be like my next filler book, and then I can like push these out of the way. And then I did start Malice, which is the first in the Faith and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. I'm reading this one for Cassidy over with covers at Cassidy's Patreon readathon that we did last month. It's for our dragon egg hatching. If you are not part of her Patreon, go check her out. It's really fun. Cassidy is she's a fun time. I really like her. And then, like, that's what I picked up for an intimidating read because it's huge. It's a chunker. I'm 50 pages in, I think. That one I started listening to. I got to like chapter 19. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know who any of these people are. Like, am I even paying attention to this? But I was, but it's one of those books that I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I decided I'm going to physically read it. I am going to be annotating it, so I am going to kind of take my time and go slow with it as I annotate it. So hopefully I will finish it this month. If not, hopefully by next month. It is a huge book, and I also have my whole June TBR as well to go through, plus I have whatever-a-thon this month. But I'm kind of hoping to finish it. It's gone by pretty quickly as I read through it and annotate, so that's a plus. Other than that, that's all I have finished and started in the month of May. And let's see where June takes us. We will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.